Christian, welcome to Let's Talk Tech.
Yes, thank you.
First of all, tell us about you.
My name is Christian Senu. I'm the Vice President of Carrier's global data center business. And that's from the engineering, the strategy, the development, into the implementation, all the way through startup, commissioning, and ongoing operations of data centers.
What does AI-ready data center look like, and how must cooling evolve to keep pace with exponential compute density?
Yeah, so AI ready just means that you're preparing today for the future. And for AI, that means introducing liquid cooling in a way that increases and optimizes the ability to manage the thermal load within the data center. So that means having the right equipment and the right solution for the region and location that you're implementing the data center. If that means from chillers to airside equipment, liquid cooling solutions, and then the building controls to manage and orchestrate so that the data center operates at the most efficient PUEs and not utilizing water. The use case really is strong in Europe and in areas that you have either limitations of resources, whether it's land and water, and then when you're having to put data centers in proximities to where people live. And what we've learned partnering with our customers as we're developing these technologies is that the opportunity and margin for error is like way smaller because the expense of the chip, but then also the heat loads and the speed in which things are changing. You really have to create a flexible system that can operate and withstand a wider range of operating conditions. So what we found is, creating a solution with our CDU, for example, has a 2-degree approach, which means there's lower, is much more efficient than many of the other items that are in the industry. That allows for us to provide cooling to the chip, but then our core technology of chillers and airside equipment, that's really enabled us to connect those things together to come up with a thermal solution for our customers, which gets back to the win-win that you and I were talking about a little bit earlier.
So can data centers realistically shift from being major energy consumers to active grid partners, and what role does intelligent thermal management play in this transition?
Data centers consume energy. However, part of the data center build out with our customers and our partners, they're also doing some things to generate power as well. So you're contributing to the power and you're consuming. But that compute, the good thing about the thermal solution is you're able to minimize how much power is required just to keep it cool. So now, when you think about what we've launched, and we've made some early bets in Carrier on Carrier Energy, where we're looking to harness the energy of home cooling as a grid partner to the data centers. So it's a very innovative, very cutting edge thing that we're doing, which will allow us to take the homes off the grid, but not impact the comfort of all the people in the homes, because there's a battery operating the equipment, and then that can support as a partnership to the data centers in that ecosystem. We've already made investments in Carrier. We've actually launched an agreement with one of the big hyperscalers where we're working together to solve the complexity of how power and what the thermal solution can do. But there's a way to solve it within the data center, but there's also leveraging Carrier's #1 footprint in the United States so that we can actually harness the other thermal solutions for other verticals to create that ecosystem with data centers in concert with the homes and the places that they're building them in. So Carrier has not invested directly in the grid, but our partnerships are actually a part of supporting our customers and the pledges that they've made.
As the global demand for sustainable digital infrastructure accelerates, where is Carrier best positioned to lead technologically and geographically?
Yeah, so one, we're global. We have 55,000 employees across the globe. We do business, we build, manufacture, and design in the 3 regions of the Americas, Europe, and the Asia, Middle East. And from a technology, it's really that end-to-end thermal solution, which we call Quantum Leap. That's where you're able to harness the great heat transfer and heat management technologies across all of our portfolio of components, bring that into a control layer, and then ultimately implement AI tools, which are part of the digital infrastructure, to best optimize and manage data centers. Because right now, our customers are building a lot, but if you really think about it, the world is going to operate data centers longer than they're just building them. So we're heavily focused on making sure that we can operate and optimize the efficiency and performance for sustainable measures and for the operations themselves.
Geographically, how are you seeing the different regions progress
Right.
at the moment?
Yes.
So who's ahead?
Yeah.
Who still needs to catch up and why?
Well, there's one thing about who's ahead, it's hard to know because a lot of the projects are not fully communicated. But when you look at who's rapidly increasing, you can see that the Americas are definitely heavily focused on very large scale campuses, large deployments of AI. And then in other places like maybe Europe where there's a little bit more resource constraints, we're seeing a large cloud growth and now the bigger commitments to AI, where you see some of these large colo providers that we're working with are building large campuses as well. And then you can see within the Middle East and Asia, there's a lot of resources, they have power and land, that there's been large commitments. So to be honest, it's hard to see who's in the lead, but all of the regions are making very big bets, very big investments, and very big commitments to go with them around advancing AI for all the regions.
Are you seeing any bottlenecks?
Well, there's like the moving bottleneck of supply chain, right? Once you found the land, you have a bunch of land things, now you get the land and the power, and then the solution to pull it all together. A lot of those will start to get deployed this year. Will start this year, and it'll obviously take a little bit of time. But there are a bunch of things that people are doing to meet the needs of the bottlenecks. Like if there's a bottleneck around technicians, I think globally there's just not going to be enough technicians to deploy everything. That's where modularity and doing things in more of a prefabricated environment is a solution that we've done to try to mitigate that issue. Supply chain, we are heavily invested in partnering with our suppliers and then their suppliers to make sure that, hey, there's a pipeline of projects and we're growing, let's grow together so that it's not just a PO transactional thing. So there's bottlenecks just with any system, and our goal is to continue to partner both with our customers and our partners to make sure that we can advance this from a pipeline build out perspective and not just this frenzy of chasing after the next constraint. Thanks for having me.